Here's 5 running backs I'm looking to start heading into week 11 already of the fantasy football season. The first guy is the Zeke the Freak, Ezekiel Elliott. I know it's been a down few weeks for him, but I think this week he finally gets it going. He's a guy I said try to trade for heading into week 11 if your trade deadline didn't pass yet or whatever. This week he's indoors. He's versus Minnesota. Andy Dalton's coming back. The line's getting a little healthier, I think, this week. And Dallas, they had a few weeks now to work on things. They're going to get everyone pretty much back except Collins, obviously, and Tyron Smith. They're both out for the year, but the line's healthy. Zeke, he got rest after he had a tight hamstring the last few weeks. And I think we're going to see some burst and strength from Zeke in this one versus Minnesota. So go out there and start Zeke. I know it's been a bad few weeks for him, but I think this is a week where he could have a 15 to 20 point fantasy day. The next guy I'm starting is DAndre Swift, and he's a guy I've been talking about weeks, and the Lions finally listened, taking the handcuffs off him and gave him the keys to the backfield. Swift in his first career start last week was great versus the Washington football team with 16 carries, 81 yards, 5 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. And this week he's got a plus-plus matchup. I said double plus because it's a great one versus the Carolina Panthers, who give up the 4th most fantasy points to running backs. Swift, he's a dual threat out of the backfield. I said this kid was going to break out. He just needed the carries and the touches, and it was great to see him get 21 touches in this one versus Washington. And now he's a start each and every week, I think, for the rest of the year. He's got a great schedule coming up. So, yeah, go out there and start DAndre Swift. He's gonna help you, and he's going to put up good fantasy points. The next guy is Mike Davis of the Carolina Panthers in the same game here versus the Detroit Lions. And Mike Davis, once again, he's going to start. Christian McCaffrey, he's out again. Davis, the last 4 weeks now, single-digit fantasy points. But I think this week he explodes, Davis, like he did early in the year when he took over. Detroit gives up the most fantasy points to running backs. You know the carries, you know the targets are going to be there. And I think even if P.J. Walker is the quarterback, you're going to see more checkdowns and more running work for this Panther offense. So I like the outlook for Davis in this game, especially with Detroit getting shredded on the ground. We saw Gibson and McKissic both have 15-plus fantasy point days versus Detroit last week, and we're going to see Davis have a big one here, I think. And speaking of J.D. McKissic, he's the next guy I'm going to start. McKissic, he's been a PPR machine for fantasy owners now with 2+ games over 17 fantasy points. And this week, he's got a good matchup versus the Cincinnati Bengals as McKissic. Last week, a whopping 15 targets out of the backfield. He's going to get all the receiving work, it looks like, for the most part, out of that Washington backfield. His last 2 games now, 29 targets, J.D. McKissic, and they're not going to take him off the field. This guy's producing. He's creating mismatches. They're lining him up as a receiver as well on some plays. So J.D. McKissic, his usage rate is through the roof. And in PPR leagues, this guy's a top 10 running back easily each and every week in the rankings in PPR with this target share to see 29 targets in the last 2 weeks. So go out there and start McKissic easily with confidence. And the 5th and final guy, I'm looking to start at running back, Stanion Harris of the New England Patriots. When this guy gets double-digit carries, it looks like he gets triple-digit rushing yards. And we saw it again here in Week 10 versus a good Baltimore defense. He went for 22 carries, 121 yards as Harris. We know he's not going to add much in the passing game. They got Burkhead and James White for that. But this guy, each and every week, like I said, when he gets 15-plus carries, he's going over the 100-yard mark. And this week, I love his matchup versus Houston, who gives up the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. And we could see Harris really break out in this one. So go out there, start him with confidence. He's going to have a good game, and I could see him cracking 100 yards once again in this one. So that's 5 running backs I'm looking to start heading into Week 11.